Have you ever considered what kind of legacy would you like to leave behind? Well, let's find out. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Zouk Nerds. In this episode, we are going to be covering all of the things that we wish to be known for, all the legacy pieces that we want to leave behind, and the things that we want to inspire the community from now to decades and centuries to come. So, let's go. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode. My name is Alisson Sandi, and today we have our beautiful co-host, Prada.
Hello everybody, welcome back.
And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about our legacy. As we share here with you, we might also be discovering things that we didn't really think about before. But what we want to talk about today is not necessarily what we want to achieve and where do we want our careers to go, but more than that, beyond that, what we would like to leave behind or be remembered. It's not a sad thing, okay? So just if you think, oh my God, these guys are thinking about like death. No. We're talking about more like what drives our daily decisions or our future decisions about what we want to do. What is the driving force of our thinking and our passion? For me, just to start with, it's a very simple one. I love the human connection. So if I can do anything possible to create more human connection through dancing, that would be my number one priority legacy. And it is my number one priority in every decision that I make every day. How about you, Guy? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Man, when I think about the topic of legacy and the things that I want people to remember me by or remember me for? What is the correct English here? I have no idea. I think it's remember me by. Yeah, remember me for by. I think it's really from the point of view of an educator. I think for me it would be really, really meaningful to me if I'm remembered by what I was able to teach people. What are the things that they learned from the experience of taking classes with me? I think that's the main sort of the guiding force, the guiding element of the things that I do and the material that I create when I think about a legacy. Né? And then from there, everything else comes out. But let's start short, let's start practical. Let's start with that, yeah.
Can you talk about examples of things that you have done recently or in the last few years since you became a professional dancer full time that was influenced by that legacy priority?
Yes. So I think this desire comes from the place that I was at when I was learning how to dance. There was this strong aspect of the legacy in terms of look how many incredible dancers came from this place. Look how many people trained here. So there was that. And then when I started my career as a dance professional, I started mostly from the perspective of a teacher. So it was straight into teaching regular classes on a regular basis. So I think the way that I was trained informed the way that I want to be remembered for, which is I want to be able to be remembered for the people that trained with me, that trained at the places that I teach in a fond way. And the things that I did, it was basically focusing on the regular classes, focusing on curriculum building, and focusing on relationship building with the students that come every week, talking to them, looking at them, smiling with them, sharing with them, dancing with them. So I think my driving force is really the everyday, the ordinary life of a regular teacher, yeah, and creating systems and creating a way of teaching that makes the dance feel easier and more enjoyable. And then the legacy becomes, oh, when I learned there, when I learned with him, it was so nice, it was so enjoyable. And I can say that I dance like this now. I have this much fun when I dance because of those classes or inspired by those classes, you know? So in terms of practical action, I think focusing on the regular classes, really trying to go back to it, having that as my ground, as my base, and developing curriculum. which is something that I find a lot of fun doing. And applying the curriculum and putting that in practice, see what works, see what doesn't work, and go back and then drawing another one and then try another one for a couple rounds, a couple cycles, and that ongoing process. Yeah, that for me was it. What about for you?
I absolutely agree. And it's no surprise that we connect in so many ways because we've been working together for so long and it has always worked so beautifully. And for those of you who are listening who don't know, Jaime Arosha is the school that a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot of the OGs and people who have helped build the community to where it is now have come from. Whenever you look at Brazilian Zouk or Samba or multiple styles of Brazilian dance, that was a place where a lot of people either started dancing at or they went there to learn how to upgrade and get to that next level. So that is a huge legacy, especially Guy being from that school, having that on his shoulder and going like, okay, I want to do at least the same as my masters did for me. I agree with you because I had a teacher who also learned a lot from that same school, from Jaime Rocha. And I think the biggest thing that my teacher, as well as my family and my parents, have always brought to my life was the sense of community and the sense of everyone belongs and everyone is part of everything. So there shouldn't be barriers, there shouldn't be gates that keeps people away from the experiences that I'm having. So every decision that I make is based on that. So when you look at back in 2011, I think, when I created the International Zouk Flash Mob that we call now the International Zouk Day, which has become this thing that happens every year in September 21st, where thousands and thousands of people around the world dance to celebrate Brazilian Zouk. And after that, multiple other projects that I created and I ran in Australia. And then came Brazuki, which it was not necessarily a free for all thing, but it's a festival that is created to give back to the community, to give back and help other people from disadvantaged communities to maybe experience dance and arts. And now, this podcast, which started in 2020 when we were all locked up and we didn't really have that human connection and that way to learn from each other and to talk to each other, which was a big thing for everybody in the dance community back in 2020. We thought, how can we create that with what we have today? So all of my decisions are very much driven by making sure that I create something that people can come together and celebrate. And that is more on an ideal world or ideal world experience of the dance community. But I'm 100% with Guy when it comes to the other part of my legacy, which would be how to become a teacher or a dancer that really enjoys everything and understands everything in a way that is very simple to pass on. Again, thinking about involving everyone and making sure that everyone feels included. To be able to do that, we need to make sure that the way we teach, the way we dance, the way we structure things is inclusive and is achievable by anybody and everybody from any dance experience background or movements experience background. So when we have to teach a spinning class or a head movement class or anything like that, we have to think, how can somebody who has very little flexibility or strength or balance or understanding all those things, how can they still do this class and feel like they have learned something that was productive and helpful for them, even if they cannot do it? That is part of the legacy. Understanding and continuously being a student ourselves to learn new ways to make dance more achievable for everybody. So that would be like part one, and part one connected to part two.
I translate what you said as the legacy being maintaining or keeping alive a continuous stream of dance teachers who really highlighted what I consider to be one of the main aspects of, in this case, Brazilian Zouk and other Brazilian dances, which is the aspect of community, social accessibility. It's a democratic environment that people can come in from all walks of life and all ages and all sizes and all things and learn how to dance. So accessibility, maintaining that flame alive. I think part of the legacy is maintaining that flame alive of the idea that the dance is for everybody. From time to time, I watch this video, which it's an inspirational video in a way, and it's also a video that gives you what I call philosophical face slaps. When I'm getting too much in my head about what's going on right now, I watch this video to get a philosophical face slap. And the video basically says something like this: in 2124, probably people will not remember who you are. The house that you used to live in, somebody else will be living there. Maybe it will not be even there anymore. The things you used to own, somebody else is using, or in the trash, or it is in a box somewhere, you know? So it starts to put, at least for me, into perspective, what is it that this life, what is it that we are doing with the time that we have? What is it that we're doing with the time that we have? What is it that we are worrying about in this timeline right now? And the aspect of legacy is related with that, in my opinion, because we are thinking about something that is beyond our time, maybe beyond our lifetime. Hopefully, it's still during our lifetime. In the future, when we are old and our bodies cannot move the same way it used to move, the younglings will come to us. You still wanting to know about the complex stuff. Our bodies cannot do it anymore, but we can explain to them how it's done. You know,
We can be like old ballet teachers that will be teaching on the side, and then we'll have our assistants demonstrate.
yes, sitting on a chair. There was actually a Brazilian Zouk instructor at Jaime Arocha a long time ago. His name is Camacho. He was an old man that I think was something with his leg. So he couldn't stand for very long. So sometimes he would teach sitting down. He would teach sitting down and he would tell the assistant what to do. So they would do the thing, but he could just by seeing, you know, give a lot of valuable inputs. And I want to be that old man one day, you know, that legacy that is kept, I remembered by the quality of the information. So people still come to me regardless of the fact that I'm an old man. And after my timeline as well, after my lifetime, it still holds that not forever, but for some time. So the fact that the time that we have is the time that we have, and that the things will go by. And then in the future, all these things that we are putting so much effort to happen might not be present anymore. I think at least the legacy, the fond memories of you as their master, as the person who inspired them, I think is one of the ways that we have to live forever, but not forever, but to live beyond our lifetime. Because although we are not here physically present, we are still here in the minds of those who we inspired, you know? And every time I think about the people that taught me not only dance, but also other knowledges of life and added something to my life, I think of them fondly. And it is as if they're still here. It is as if they're still alive, you know? So that's one of the, like, these beautiful philosophical aspects that I like to bring and I like to think when the topic of legacy comes to mind. Yeah, so little philosophical here. Went a little deep.
I think this connects with how I see myself as a translator more than an innovator. So we've always had the aliens of Brazilian Zouk, or the aliens of dance. Who are these aliens? Those people who are daily coming out with something complex, something new, or maybe not coming up, but twisting it in a different way, presenting it in a different way. So because I have this brain that wants to make sense of everything, wants to research everything, and wants to share everything, to me, I see like myself being the translator between the aliens and the humans. So the aliens are like creating and doing all of these things. And I'm like this person who is in between them going like, okay, guys, so this is what they're doing. Okay. This is how you do it. okay, for the human. So I have studied enough and I continue to study to keep up with the aliens, to understand the aliens, but that's not where I want to be. Where I want to be is closer to the humans, which is what I feel like I am. I'm a human who has achieved a certain level of knowledge that is the alien knowledge, but the execution and the creativity is not something that inspired me as much as the understanding of how it works. So yeah, like maybe my legacy or people will remember me for being that person that can see something and go like, oh, okay, this is what it is. This is what it is. Plus this, plus this, plus this. If you do this and if you do that, it works. Because that's what people come to me for. When I think about classes or private lessons, very, very often people come to me and say, hey, I've done this many classes. I've taken private lessons with multiple teachers. And all of my friends keep telling me that I have to come to you because I've got a few things that I've tried many ways, but still I'm not happy with them. But they tell me that you will be able to at least guide me into a way to understand why it's not working or how to make it work. And I feel like so privileged to be seen that way. Because to me, that is exactly what I would like to share anything and everything that I have. For me, the ultimate goal is to make people know better and dance better than I do.
Mm-hmm.
I've never understood that mentality of keeping people below you so they don't challenge you. To me, it's quite the opposite. For me, if I don't make them better than I am or knowing more than I am, then I'm not doing my job. I'm not fulfilling my own dream, let alone their dream. But here's the catch. I move very fast. So I always tell my students, I want you to be better than me. But to make sure that that doesn't happen, I'm always running. I'm never holding you back, but I'm always running in a way that I'm continuously learning because making my student better challenges me to make sure that I know more and I do better. For me, an artist or a teacher or some mentor that keeps their people down have lost their passion. They maybe are not for that role. Instead, it's more like, I want you guys as students to challenge me to make sure that I am challenged to keep improving and studying. I hope this makes sense. It's a little complex here.
I think it does. It really resonates with the knowledge that I received. I don't remember where I received it. I want to say I heard it for the first time when I used to do retreats in the same monastery. I don't remember if it was there exactly, but it basically said that the master only achieves its objective when the student becomes master. When the student becomes more master than the master is when the master successfully trains the student, which is opposite to a kind of mindset that I saw actually in law school when I was required to read the book The Prince from Machiavelli. And in that book, it was actually saying the complete opposite of it, in where the prince needs to maintain its subjects dependent on them, on the prince. So he needs to change the rules and change the things and change the law. So keep everybody coming back to the prince. So they are needed and the subjects are always in this place below. So very different kinds of mindsets, And I agree with this one, that we are successful when the student surpasses us in knowledge. And then I also understand what you're saying there, Master, when you say, I wanted to be better than me. However, I'm running to get better for myself. So if you want to catch up, let's go, let's come.
Yeah, like I'm going to make sure that you know everything that I have, everything. I'm never going to hold a piece of information. But at the same time, a real teacher who embodies what they know is only able to share something that is already matured in their body and in their system, their brain. So what I'm actually working on now for my dancing is probably going to be something that I can share in 6 months or 12 months or longer. So it's not that I do that intentionally, but it's more that I need to do a lot of research before I feel confident enough to share that knowledge and be able to answer everything that is related to that knowledge. So there is that gap. It's like a buffering gap. Like I know it, but I don't know enough. And I'm very honest with my students when they ask me about anything. I'll tell them, look, I know this, I've learned a little bit about this, but I haven't really studied enough to give you all the answers. Based on what I know, this is what I understand. But don't take this 100%. Maybe you need to talk to somebody else who have studied this part way more than I have. And yeah, I think that would be something that I'm always working for the idea that my community and everybody that comes to me feels like they always have somebody to reach out to, whether it's for dancing or for career, for business, for community, for anything like that. Because at the same time, I'm kind of a crazy person who wants to do everything all at the same time and 1,000% of power on everything, which is something that I'm trying to change in my life. So then I have more time on this planet, because I don't think I could live for as long as I want to live if I keep doing what I'm doing. But the fear of like missing out on things is something that not only in dance, but in life experiences, we have to continuously understand how to manage.
100%. And you know, there's something that I was thinking. There are a couple things actually, but the one that I want to share the most right now is related to when we think of legacy. I think about pupils. Pupil, that's the word. It's a very hard word to say for some reason in English. Pupil. These people that are training under you for an extended period of time, where you spend not only training time together, but you spend more of your life with, and then that person learns from you in this more continuous, steady way. And this is something that is part of an aspiration. It was something that I don't think I had yet. You know, a group of people who are like, we are there consistently and we are training and we are acquiring an identity, a DNA. And then from that identity, from that DNA, they would, boom, develop more and above and beyond that. Also, again, inspired by the school in Jaime Arocha, where we were in this continuous training to acquire this DNA. And then from there, bye, everybody flew somewhere else, you know? And this is something that I would still like to have. I don't know if I will have. I don't know if I'll have time to have that. Mainly because I think times changed, and people don't train the same way that they used to, in terms of, I have this one person here that I'm training under, and with them I stay until the end, until things change. Right now, the style is more people learning from several people, which is amazing, which is really good. However, we are allowed to be selfish a little bit here, and I'm being a little bit selfish when I say that I would love to have that still. Was actually something that when I moved, not when I moved, but something that when I realized that teaching people how to dance was gonna be my thing for a good amount of time, and then I thought I would like to have that, which contributes to the whole idea of legacy, because your legacy is moving, walking, and talking to other people. You know, it's like it's a moving legacy because you transported something into someone else, and that person is gonna carry that into the next generation. So we are part of a generation, and we are part of a generation that is carrying through the messages that we received from the past generation. We are working with that material, evolving it, adapting it, and then delivering to the next generation. The ways that we are delivering to the next generation now, I think, is more sparse. When I started dancing, that was more concentrated. We had a school and a set of teachers. Right now, mostly the schools, the world, and the teachers are so many of them. So I would love to still have this group of people that we train together and we develop a DNA. And that DNA, the legacy that I would love to contribute with the dance universe, is the kindness, is the comfort, is the accessibility, is the basic, a very well done basic. You know, this is the kind of like DNA that I would like to transmit in this way. And then they just go ahead and transmit on their own, you know, and then the legacy is created and then the things continue. And that is like an aspirational thing for an aspirational legacy. It's just something that occurred to me while we were talking. And there's this other thing that I like to think about as well, is we live in a world right now where In order for us to have attention, to receive attention, we need to be attention worthy. Let's put it like that. And the way that this attention worthiness is translated is by how appealing you are right now in social media, and how appealing your content is, and how appealing what you do is really. When we talk about dance, that is more related to how the dance looks like in a way, because all people do is see and watch until they go ahead and dance with you. And in the world of wellness, in the world of the therapeutical arts, this also happens. This also truly happens. There is the people who are really good in social media and stuff like that, and then you go for them and you pay their courses and you do their retreats and all of that stuff. But there is one interesting thing that I realized after traveling to Bali a couple of times, which is a lot of people go to Ubud, the area of Bali that I'm mostly visiting, to find some sort of solace to their souls, and to do some yoga, sound healing, to do something to, bring some calm and center to their lives.
Get their shit together.
Get their shit together. And there are so many.
Put it in plain English.
Plain English, get their shit together. And there's so many options and stuff. And then several people go to Bali to really start their spiritual journey, And then so many options. There's so many options for you to start what you would consider your spiritual journey. And something that was really interesting is that there are priests, there are people who can guide you through the spiritual journey. So many of them. They think that you have ones that you can see, and then you can feel the appeal of what they create visually. And there are the priests that you cannot see, that you only know about when you are there long enough, when you are able to connect with the people that live there, connect with the locals, maybe speak a little bit of the language. They are the local priests. But for you to have access to them, you need time there and need people to trust you, that they can trust you with that knowledge, that kind of thing, And sometimes I think about that in dance as well. I think that I want to be that priest that people only know about if they are in the community long enough, kind of thing. They don't go in and see it immediately. They go in, they see all the things, very cool, very nice, but then I'm looking for something else. There's something that I want more. And then oh, there's this guy. He lives in a cave in the mountains with goats and books. Go talk to him. So that's kind of one of my weird fantasies that I have, because I truly think that the work that is more in the subtleties of things is the thing that I find most joy to translate, to convey, and that I think that I could leave a very honest, very truthful legacy that came from a very deep place in my being, in my heart, So there's this two aspirational things that are both something that I like to achieve and also a legacy that I like to transmit in the future. I don't know if you have any of these things, Messi. One of the things that you think, I would like to have that, so then the legacy could be this thing here.
No, I agree with you. I would also identify myself with the second version of the priest, because that's what I've heard before about my classes or my workshops. People are like, I always have to tell all my friends to come to your workshops because, yes, they've heard from you, but if there's another superstar, famous workshop happening at the same time, they tend to go to that one. But then the people who have been to my workshop says to them, hey, no, you shouldn't be going to that class. You actually need his class. Go to his class because that's what you need. I know that you see the shiny and the sugar, but that's not what your dancing is needing right now. So usually I am kind of the second priest. And for me, that's totally in alignment with what I want to provide. I want to provide to people whatever information makes their experience better, whatever technique or exercise that makes them understand how to have a better time. And while you're talking, I had a question in my mind, which is this. What do you find in the community or in the world right now that is a blockage or a wall to achieve that ideal world that you want to leave behind. So what in the community makes life harder for you to leave the legacy that you want to leave behind?
You mean in terms of like having these pupils
Having the pupils or having the ideal curriculums and the way you teach, and what in the community right now or in the world affects that or doesn't make that the easiest job?
I truly think it's patience. It's a lack of patience. I think the fast-pacedness of things and the overstimulation of things, they impact the patience. They impact the time that would take for someone to develop in the way that I would like them to develop. Because it's a work to develop and enhance sensitivity, the subtle skills, noticing smaller things. That requires patience, that requires repetition over the course of time for some time. And I don't think there is patience for that. I think there is a sense of like, I've done this already. What is next? I've done this already. What is next? You know? So the patience to repeat, the patience to do it again, over and over again. That is not related to, for example, back in the day where counterbalance was the thing. Remember? The day of counterbalance.
Oh, yeah.
We needed to repeat counterbalances over and over and over and over again. And that was fun. We were all sweaty, back was hurting, the wrist and the fingers of kind of holding the position and all this thing. But we were repeating so enjoyably and going over and over and over again. Because I think there was an improvement that was easier to notice. You could notice right away, oh, balance is better. I have more control here. So you could grasp it a little quicker. For the work that I have in mind, I don't think we would notice that easily and that clearly, because the process of developing, the process of getting the content happens more silently in the back. Kind of, you're not seeing very well, but over time, those who are observing, they are seeing, just you are not. They are feeling, just you are not as much. So just that, Master. I think I would say patience. And it's
Totally.
Now that I'm talking about that, I'm like, yeah, patience.
That makes sense.
That makes
sense.
Because when we were training under the other circumstances in the school, specific group of teachers, we would be in this repetition mode, doing over and over again these exercises for sensitivity, for the subtle skills. But that was it. That was what we had. There was no other thing that we would be looking at, like, no, but I want this other thing here. I just realized that there were other things when I went out of the school for another school to see another social. I was like, oh, there are other things. So the availability of new information, I think, creates in us the desire to achieve and to seek that information. So there's that ongoingness that in a way takes the patience away.
Yeah, it's the social media or the marketing and the way the world works right now, which is to make you feel like you still don't have it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's really powerful. Yeah.
Like the less you're exposed to, the less you think, oh, I need to buy this thing, I need to buy that thing, I need to buy that thing. And like, instead of feeling like, man, I have everything in my house that I need. No, but because we watch YouTube videos of all the cameras and all the lights and all the mics, and we're thinking, no, but maybe I should get one more light here. Maybe I should. Yeah, so that idea makes us feel like maybe we need more. Same thing with dance. In dance, back in those days, we had to go to other socials or festivals or something like that. Whereas if we didn't, everything that our teacher had to offer us was more than enough. We weren't thinking about anything else other than, I just want to be able to do that one thing that my teacher is asking me to do.
Exactly. I just want to do the viradinha, or I remember it was puladinho. The puladinho back in the day was the thing. So I want to do this puladinho so well, so deliciously,
I didn't even get to puladinho. For me, it was gancho redondo. Bro, my teacher had a gancho redondo that was like melted butter on bread. And I just was like dreaming about gancho redondo. And for those of you who don't know samba de gafieira, technically speaking, it's not like a monstrosity of technique in terms of difficulty. It's not. But the way it looks simple is because of the mastery. It's kind of like it's one of, let's say, intermediate moves, but the execution was master move.
Yeah.
So it was like the master execution of a simple move that I was like, oh, I just want that gancho redondo.
Yeah.
It was incredible. It's kind of like when you see somebody doing a simple turn that you're like, yes, that simple turn. Oh, wow. I could just watch that simple turn 100 times.
It was gancho redondo, puladinho, peão, gancho, which is what we to call obrigatório, which is
the circles.
The circle, which was the mandatory sequence. You do gancho redondo, puladinho, peão. That was the thing. And we are focusing on combining 3 basic movements and making them, like Alisson said, melted butter, into the bread and everything. So there was so much patience. I think like, I want this to feel good. I want this to feel so good. Of course, the shiny stuff always existed. They always existed. I think it was just, maybe there was less of them or less exposure to them. What you were saying, Master, it reminded me of my time in New Zealand when I had one of the first impacts of how the environment was affecting what I want in terms of what I want to buy, of what I want to have. I remember I'm in Wellington, the capital of New Zealand, and I would not see one billboard with products and stuff. No malls, like was street stores, local brands, smaller things, walking around.
And beautiful nature.
Beautiful nature. And I would walk around and see in the tables, in the dinners, people's phones. None of them had the most recent phone. They all had older phones. So I realized, man, people's priorities here are different and they're living their lives. They're sending their messages, they're exchanging pictures and videos and stuff. And here I am with my airdrops and my latest things of all the Apple stuff. And I wanted stuff. And I realized when I was there, my capitalist soul calmed down so much that going back to the US, I felt the change. I felt the change inside of me, a sort of anxiety, a strange anxiety to like, I think my phone is too old now. Maybe I need to change my computer. When I was other places, I was fine. And I think that's very similar when it comes to social dancing to Brazilian Zouk right now. And dance how it was and how it is right now. Not only the dance, but the environment of the dance and the amount of things you can look at for inspiration. So sometimes there is this anxiety. I don't know enough. I need to learn more moves. I need to learn this other thing. I need to learn lombada. I need to learn how to spin, and I need to learn how to counterbalance more. And no. But do you really, like Alisson was talking about, do you really need that? And you might need that for your own personal understanding of what development is for you, which is learning new things, challenging yourself, complex moves. Really cool, totally. And also, is that getting in the way of your enjoyment when you go out social dance? Is that getting in your head when you watch everybody dance? You're like, I don't know how to do that, so I suck. So I think that's such a complex idea, and we are still talking about legacy, né?
We are.
So I think
we're trying.
That's right. We're trying to keep on track. It's a little hard. But when we're thinking legacy, maybe the legacy is that one. The legacy that, man, you don't need the legacy of the idea, of the mindset, like I was saying, that carrying the torch of a line of teachers over the course of time, they carry the torch of saying, you don't need this much, you good. You good with what you know. In samba, rotina obrigatória, gancho redondo, puladinho, peão, like 70% of the dance is there. Enjoy life, just vary it in different ways. Walk around, just have a good time, enjoy it, So I think in the end, now that I think about it, that might be the biggest legacy that I would like to leave for the next generation of dancers. Patience, people. And, carrying the torch of what you know is enough,
To me, this translating to respecting, understanding, and embracing the process. Something that I wanted to say earlier and I forgot was that some of the best students that I've ever had are people that comes from very, very good teachings, such as martial arts or piano or some kind of art form, whether it's physical or not, but that takes a lot of time, patience, and small incremental improvement and practice. Not the big flashy, like you do a couple of times and you're good to go. So yeah, respecting the process. I think it's a big summary of what we believe that we are and what we believe and would like to leave behind as our legacy. This is what I am. This is who I am. And if anybody in the world will remember anything about my work is, well, I learned that respecting the process, enjoying the process, and being patient with the process and with myself was that one big major thing that they learned. If that's what it is, they can carry that for life and they can pass that on. Any toalha technique, counterbalance technique, whatever technique that happens today and exists today may not be here in 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years. But that feeling of I understand how to get there, even when I don't know how to do any of it, I think that would be a good summary for what we're talking about, our legacy here.
I concur. I agree 100%, especially the patience part.
Yeah.
Like if the person who learned from me come and teach that patience to the people that they will teach or the people that they train with, that would be such a win. It would be such a win, I think, for me, selfishly.
And it's something that we have to always check ourselves in, because I work with a lot of teachers who I love their teaching. I absolutely love. Like I see myself in them. I see themselves in me. I feel like we are both like the same. But when they are being a student, or when I am being a student, I am not that person anymore. Like when they are being a student, they're hard on themselves. They're not patient with themselves. They're like frustrated with themselves. And I think that's something that we have to check ourselves in as well, because a lot of the times we're very good at giving and sharing and providing for others, but we're not very good at doing that for ourselves, hugging ourselves and going like, you know what, it's fine. Like, for example, I would love to have the splits. I would love to go spa on the floor, like, bah. But it's only a good to have. For my own selfish reasons, I would like to have that. But how useful is that for me? How will that change my daily life and dancing and everything that I can do with 99% of the time of my life? Not much. It would be good just to do a couple of tricks. But when I'm social dancing, when I'm socializing, when I'm here in the podcast, I'm not going to be like doing the split. So what's the point? What's the point? So I think we need to understand what are those things that are really important with our life and be very patient with those. And everything else that is like nice and flashy and cool, it's kind of like be good to have, but I mean, like, that's not essential for my life and for my happiness.
Exactly, 100%. I was trying to think of an analogy, but I couldn't think of anything, so I'll stop right here. I just agree.
So that concludes our episode for today, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us through this therapeutical session.
Yes.
Sometimes it's a TED Talk. Sometimes it's a therapeutical session. As I said in the very beginning, we will be discovering things, because a lot of the times we finish the episode and we're like, bro, I need to take some notes. Like I went inside into places and doors and rooms that either I didn't know it existed or I had not visited in a long time. So thank you for being here with us for that.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much. Me too. This conversation was really, really interesting. It was just Alisson and me talking. We're looking at cameras, look at each other, but it was very profound. There's a lot of stuff.
Imagining you.
I'm looking at the camera. That's the middle of the camera is as if it was your eyes.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll see you on the next episode.
See you, everybody. Ciao.
Beijos, beijos. Abraços. Tchau.